Hello everyone, thank you for tuning into this video. My name is Draco Beeks, and before we get into the video, I just wanted to let you know that this clip actually comes from my live streams that I do every single week, where I literally talk about anything sports related that you can think of. So if you are interested in checking one of those out, like I said, it's every single week. So hit that subscribe button, hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, so you can know of the future live streams. But enough of all that, let's get into the video. So let's do it. NFL Week 3 games going on right here, and straight up we're gonna go with the Thursday night game over here, and then we'll end it with the two Monday night games, and yeah, we'll go from there. So yeah, we'll start with the Giants playing at the road against the 49ers. I mean, this is a very easy game to predict. San Francisco gets the win quite easily. I don't see them having any issues with the Giants at all. So I think the 49ers win very easily, and nothing much else to it. We'll go with the Titans and the Browns next. The Browns at home, obviously just coming off a very tight loss to the Steelers, but yeah, I don't think they have issues with the Titans, especially being at home. I think they're going to get the job done quite easily, and they won't have to worry about that at all. So they get the job done there. And Deshaun Watson, maybe he balls out again. Who knows? It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough with them without Nick Chubb, but I think they'll figure it out quite easily, especially against the Titans. Jaguars playing host to the Houston Texans. I think the Jags just had a down week last week. Texans put up a good fight against the Colts, but they weren't able. Or they were trying to make a comeback after going down early to the Colts, but they just didn't have enough. I think the Jags bounce back quite easily, especially being at home, and they get the job done. The Ravens playing host to the Colts. I mean, obviously it's going to come down to whether Anthony Richardson plays or not. I think the Ravens win the game regardless, but I think the Colts will put up a much bigger fight if they are able to have Richardson play. But we'll just have to wait and see, I guess. The Dolphins, home against the Broncos. And really, the Broncos just can't figure out how to win, and the Dolphins' offense is just so good. Dolphins win this game, I think, quite easily and move to 3-0. Patriots going to the Jets. Now, this probably wouldn't be as close of a game if not for a certain someone getting injured. So this might be a closer game than one would thought a couple of weeks ago. So it's at home. The Jets are super good at everywhere but the quarterback position, realistically. And the Patriots just, they've slowly, they put up a great fight against the Eagles, came up just short. They put up a good fight against the Dolphins, came up just short. So maybe there's questions on if they can figure it out and win games. But I'm going to go with the Jets. I think they squeeze out a win only because their defense and their offense minus Zach Wilson gets it done. But we'll see. We will see. The Steelers-Raiders game is the Sunday night one, so we'll come back to that. The Bills traveling to Washington to play the Commanders. This is probably going to be a closer game than we would have thought, similar to the Patriots-Jets game. I'm going to go with the Bills because they looked super dominant against the Raiders last week. And the Commanders, yes, they did get a great win against the Broncos there in Denver, but with how close it was, you would think, you got a couple of questions there. And the Bills, you see it, Bills fan. My heart's going to lead me astray with them a little bit, I think. And, they're a good team. They're a good team. So the Bills win. Now, this next game, the battle of the teams that probably shouldn't be 2-0 but are and need to get right now. Obviously, with this little thing right here, you can see the Vikings came off a mini bye, obviously playing Thursday night last week. So they got just a little bit more rest than the Chargers do. So this will be, again, with the Chargers, they were against the Titans in Tennessee last week. So I've heard of teams, staying in the same time zones if they have two away games back-to-back and they're across the country. So I don't know if that's what the Chargers are doing or not. If they're not, I would almost guarantee the Vikings win. I think the Vikings win. Kirk Cousins is a great quarterback, and the Chargers, they just can't. They haven't won a game yet, and neither of the Vikings, obviously. But the Vikings are at home. They're a solid team, and the Chargers, they just don't look like they can close out games yet. So I think that is how it goes. The hot seat for Brandon Staley gets a little bit hotter, and the Vikings slowly turn things around, potentially, maybe. Who knows? But we will see with that one. The Chiefs playing host to the Bears. Need I say anything else? The Chiefs lost a close game to the Lions week 1. They were able to bounce back and beat the Jaguars here this past week. It was a closer game and maybe not as good of a game as some of us were expecting, but the Bears just don't look good. And until I'm proven otherwise, I don't really think I can, pick the Bears for that one at all. So Chiefs win that one. It might get ugly, and they go back to being above 500. Rams traveling to Cincinnati to play the Bengals. Now, before the season started, I would have instantly picked the Bengals to win this game. But with how good the Rams played against the 49ers, even though they lost, and obviously beating the Seahawks week 1, and the Bengals losing pretty badly to the Browns in week 1 and losing a close one to the Ravens last week, I don't know, man. This might be a very close game. But I'm going to pick the Rams. I think the Rams win. I think Joe Burrow, he re-aggravated his calf a little bit, what people are saying from Sunday. Him and Jamar Chase haven't really meshed well yet this year. And, yeah, I think the Rams, they've proven that they're better than some of us thought. So I think the Rams go into Cincinnati and they get the win. That's probably going to be the upset. Maybe not even the upset of the week. But that's going to be a fun game to watch, I think, because especially if Joe Burrow's fine and he starts to heat things up. But the Rams, they've got some good weapons, and Matthew Stafford's not going anywhere, obviously. He's been good so far. So let's see. The Falcons play the Browns. The Falcons play the Lions. I have no idea where I got the Browns from there. My mistake. Falcons being 2-0, maybe it's a little bit of fool's gold there. But, they beat the Packers, and the Packers don't look like a joke this year. But who knows? Lions obviously look good. Unfortunately, losing to the Seahawks this past week in overtime. And the Lions are going to want to get right in this one, so I think they're going to win this game. I think the Lions are objectively better than the Falcons, and the Falcons are traveling to Detroit to play the Lions, so I think the Lions will win this game. Sometimes you just have to break it down to as simplistic as possible and just say, all right, this team is just better than this team, and the better team is at home, so I think they get the job done. Saints-Packers, very solid matchup. I don't think it's as simple as the Falcons Lions to just say that one team's better than the other. But, maybe the Packers aren't as good as we think because they beat the Bears pretty good, but then again, the Bears lost pretty good last week to the Buccaneers. So maybe the Packers aren't as good as we think they are. And the Saints, they haven't completely convinced me that they're a solid team, but they're 2-0. So they are traveling to Lambeau to play in Green Bay. This is a close one. It's a toss-up for me, but I think I'm going to go with the Packers. I think they win this game. I think they bounce back from a very close game against the Falcons there. They barely lost to the Falcons in Atlanta, so I think that plays a little bit of a factor. I have this thing in my brain where home teams just have a much better advantage because they're at home. I don't know if I should be thinking like that, but I just do. So I think the home field, Lambeau Field, just gives that little extra juice to the Packers, and they get the win over the Saints. Panthers, Seahawks next. Now, I've picked the Panthers to win their first 2 games, and obviously they haven't. So I am not letting my heart dictate what I want to have happen. The Panthers are traveling to Seattle to play the Seahawks, who are a better team than the Panthers. Yes, they lost to the Rams in week 1, but they bounced back and beat a good Detroit team in Detroit the next week. Yes, it took overtime, but they still won. So I have to go with the Seahawks, just because they're a solid team. That's just the only way I can look at it. I tend to overthink things sometimes with these picks, so I just gotta keep it between the ears and just keep moving forward. So then that leaves us with the Packers. Wow, let me get my teams right. The Dallas Cowboys playing the Arizona Cardinals in Arizona. Now, obviously, because I would love to have happen, the Cardinals win this game. There's just no way that they do. The Packers are just a great team. They're just so dominant in every aspect of the game so far this year. So they just get the job done very easily over the Cardinals. There's really not much else to it. And then we have the Steelers and Raiders for the Sunday night game. I just realized that the LA Cincy game is a Monday night game. They got 2 Monday night games again this week. That's interesting. Anyway, we're doing it live. And yeah, Sunday night, Steelers, Raiders in Vegas. So maybe there's a little bit there, but the Steelers, they've put on a good show against the Browns last week. I think they get the job done against the Raiders. Maybe I'm just putting a little too much bias in the fact that they were not supposed to be a good team coming into this season. But the Steelers' defense is really good. I think the offense is slowly figuring it out. Slowly. It's very slow, but I think they're figuring it out. And the Raiders, I just don't think they'll have enough and have what it takes to win that game. And then finally, one of the Monday night games, apparently, the Philadelphia Eagles traveling to Tampa Bay to play the Buccaneers. Obviously, you can see that the Eagles are coming off one of those little mini buys, similar to the Vikings last week, because that was a Thursday night game. And they're traveling to the Buccaneers, where they are 2-0, and Baker Mayfield and crew are looking very solid. I would not have expected them to be 2-0. I think I predicted Tampa Bay to be dead last in this division. But alas, they are 2-0 and looking really good. So I think I still have to pick the Eagles. Like I said earlier, I don't think that they've figured it out fully just yet. But, I mean, they made it to the Super Bowl last year, and they've won 2 games where they haven't looked their best. So hard to argue with that one, really. So I think the Eagles get it done there in Tampa Bay. I think they start the season 3-0, and they go on cruise control from here. So those are my week 3 picks. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Who's winning, who's losing, who's going to have a great week, who's going to have an awful week. And yeah, those are my week 3 picks.